Why is it I can't pull up my participants?
Hello.
Oh, thank God. All right. Well, the audio's catching. That's great, isn't it? Isn't it fun when you get caught out there doing stuff that you don't want to do?
All right, think tank is up and loaded. Let's see. All right, we're side by side. Check. Oh no, we're not side by side.
Please stop doing that.
What?
We side by side. Now there's no audio. All right. Well, everybody, we're getting ready to do the thing we always do. And as always, Trump keeps us busy. Today he's keeping us busier than normal. I mean, I don't know if I want to say that. He's definitely keeping us busy. We're running into some significant issues. We reported what was going to happen in Venezuela here at the think tank first. We broke the news. Unfortunately, things have gotten to be moved a lot faster than even I anticipated. I guess when I'm sitting with the team and we're doing our critical analysis, I never really want to see the peak. It's like writing a story for me. That peak is hard to, that climax, the top where everything is going on is difficult. And hold on. What the having did that just happen? Yes, it did. I don't understand what's going on. We get a lot of weird stuff. I mean, 1 second, AI's giving me a problem. It just ignores my prompts every once in a while and goes back and resets, and I have to um bring it back. Yeah. So we decided we was gonna do lives every Sunday, and one of the major reasons because Trump does so much on weekends. He's actually a pretty terrifying individual, and I should have saw this coming. I the team said it was going to happen like this, and I didn't want to report it like this, but we're going to get started. Actually, give me 2 more minutes and we can get started. I'm trying to finish with this AI situation that doesn't seem to be fixing itself. I have my tea. But we're going to be talking about quite a few things tonight while we're waiting. We have a few things that we want to debate because even though I don't know if you guys know what's going on, but as we said, Trump invaded Mexico and he took over the oil. So we know why he was there now. If you didn't know why he was there before, if there were doubts about the critical thinking status of our community and how we come to our conclusions, it seems to be pretty self-evident at this point that Trump was there for one reason, and that was for oil. And we're here to discuss the fallout, which we expect to be Hold on 1 second. This doesn't work, then I'm just gonna have to figure it out another time. And AI is giving me the runaround. I have my prompts all set up. It was working perfectly, and then it resets itself. I don't know, and it's like you got to program it all over again. It's
It's
weird,
like it has a mind of its own.
which is weird because that's not supposed to be in the paid version, right? Like it's supposed to. It's almost like it's not listening to what I tell it. Yeah. Well, I don't think it has a mind of its own. I think it uses algorithms to try and do predictive modeling and analyze past prompts to try and predict what your next prompt is going to be. And in that analysis, I think that sometimes it curves off and then you got to steer it back right. I am glad you said that because now I can tell it, please do not utilize predictive modeling for future prompts. It's a program. My dad was a coder, so I learned a little bit about coding. But we have a couple of things to talk about tonight. You know, we don't want to forget about the victims because Trump has decided to make the move now and distract from the fact that the victims are still suffering and the law was broken and these Epstein files weren't released. We want to probably bring up the fact that the Jack Smith interview, along with some of the other releases, have gave us some insight into what was going on at Mar-a-Lago. He himself was up there like, "Yo, look at these files. Do you believe I can't declassify these and y'all ain't supposed to see it?" Like Trump is wilding on that. Trump is continuing to send troops into multiple cities. I don't think this is for this one.
Well, the major news after you do your intro should be about Venezuela because that's what's
Oh, that
going
is going to
on
be the
right now.
majority of what we
But
discussed
hey,
today. Of that much, I assure you. I'm just trying to do one. I'm trying to get this going before we get started. But we're about to. I'm trying to get this so that I'm not distracted. Once I come on come on, we're gonna go. But I was just trying to lay out the scenario of everything that was going on before we begin. But ugh, this thing is driving me crazy. I've been working on this for 15 minutes at this point. When before it decided to do its predictive modeling, it's only I did 10 of these things earlier today, and it took me about 20 minutes. So my aggravation. Anyway, I guess we're going to get started. So hello and welcome to the think tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased, logical conclusions. Today we're here to discuss, well, a couple of things, but I think that we're going to be discussing, excuse me, the biggest part. The biggest part of this discussion is going to be the breaking news this weekend. Sorry, something that we the think tank predicted was going to occur. The troops being sent into Venezuela so that Trump can attain the oil. Before we go into detail, if these are the kind of things that you like to hear debated, these are the kind of topics you want to hear discussed, do me a favor. That's right, Dion. Thank you. Check in the subscription box, hit the like button, leave a comment, talk to us. Let us know what you think was going on because we are here to work with you. The critical thinking community that we're trying to put together will be able to help us come up with ideas, plans, and figure out what we're going to do in this rapidly accelerating environment, political environment that we now find ourselves in. But with no further ado, I'm going to ask my co-host to introduce himself so that we can get going.
hi, family. I'm District Leader Dion Powell out of the Bronx Conservative Party, consultant, community leader, and America First, sometimes America Only side of the MAGA. There you go, Leo.
The what MG Make America
What
Great?
I
What?
what I spell out for you?
I would like to hear that one more again if you don't mind.
And of the MAGA. That's the NWO. I mean MAGA. What does that spell?
Oh, I see. My computer's just acting up.
Soft touch marketing, my friend. I have a bachelor's degree in media communications arts from the first film department in America of the City College of New York. So those are some of my credentials. You may not see it here behind my wall like that guy, but it all comes out of here, my friends.
Well, okay. Trump first started bombing innocent people in the Caribbean
Okay.
from islands all over, talking about they were smuggling drugs from places that drugs couldn't get to America. He said the borders were closed, but they was coming in through the borders. He said, well, I'm sorry, I got something in my eye. He said he had multiple things happening. I don't quite understand, but he was bombing fishermen for months and innocent people and people from the wrong country. Like you have intel that these guys are smuggling drugs, but you don't even know what country they're from. It was insane. And back then we reported that he was after the oil. So as time moved forward, then he started talking about striking on Venezuela and the fact that, or this manifest destiny propaganda that he was pushing to the right wing media that was that anything in the West belongs to us, the Monroe Doctrine, and all of these crazy, like, we just going to go and take over this colonialism mindset was apparent. The mindset that we called back in March here on Think Tank. And now we're seeing it come to fruition, unfortunately. He invaded Venezuela this weekend. He kidnapped the president, said we're pressing charges on him, arrested him, and brought him to the United States to face penalty. He will not back the party that was going against Maduro, who was the president of Venezuela. The vice president who took charge, he's not dealing with her. He's just saying, we're going to run Venezuela. And not only are we going to run Venezuela, because we are going to run Venezuela, right? Also, we're taking control of the oil. It belongs to us because of something that happened a couple of hundred years ago or something like that that is
Yeah,
illegal.
you skip those details. Keep going, Leo. Yeah, skip those little details.
Skip what details? Why don't you explain to us the details?
Well, you see, family, sometimes with these coups d'etats and uh
That's not a
of
coup
these
d'etat. Coup d'etat is from the inside.
why? But I'm
It's
not talking
overthrowing
about.
the
I'm trying
government
to.
from the
I'm
inside.
going back to your point. If you let me finish, when you say something happened 100 years ago, that's why the United States is taking the oil. Now, what the president was referring to was when there was a change of power to the communist government. I could be misspeaking here. That the old deals they had with the oil companies were kind of null and void with that situation. Fact check them if you can, but basically that refers to, certain deals that happened under a previous administration before they went full-fledged communist socialist. Now, mind you, this time around, Maduro, some argue, was an illegitimate president because of the voting fiasco. Sometimes you can't vote out a dictator, and that's what's going on here. Skip, back to you because he's in Brooklyn.
How long has Maduro been in office?
That's something that you have to ask your AI friend that's actually lying to you right now.
What do you mean lying to me?
I thought you said the AI was messing up over there.
It's giving me trouble. It's not lying to me.
Okay, just in case. Fake news.
Well, fake news. That's so. Let me read this. I might be coming
You
down with
okay?
something.
I think so too.
U.S. explosions inside of Venezuela. It said that Trump says the U.S. will run Venezuela. Then the U.S. captures Maduro, the president of Venezuela, and Pam Bondi says he is being indicted. The report from the Fox News host commented, today, we have not heard from him since New Year's Eve. That was yesterday. We have not heard from the president about this since New Year's Eve. So it was
Are you sharing the screen?
no.
Okay.
This is from my notes. This is the notes that
Okay.
I'm. But it is notable again that the president was talking about wanting peace last year. This is from Fox News. The U.S. struck 7 different countries around the world. This is Fox News. The U.S. struck 7 different countries around the world. That does not include the dozens of strikes in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. So 7 different countries, not counting those strikes against these alleged drug boats. Trump doesn't want either Venezuela party in power. Oh, I read that wrong. I read it right, but the tone was wrong, so it might have been
It's
lost.
all.
Trump doesn't want either Venezuelan party in power. Trump says the U.S. will take control of Venezuela oil. Venezuela also has $22 billion in gold. Dion, what do you think about all the things I just said?
Well, you have to also insert Marco Rubio, little Marco, as they call him, the Secretary of State in this equation. That's really troubleshooting this very well, real
What is
time.
the Secretary of State responsible for?
The interests of the United States of America, both foreign and domestic. I'm assuming I don't have the AI in front of me like you, but long story short is the president says a lot of things. We know this. He also trolls a lot of things to deflect and distract and confuse. We know this. So with this whole Venezuela situation, it's ongoing. It happened very fast. I'm glad there's no American casualties. And Leo, even as a veteran, you got to admit that this was like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer, like Iraq. Shout out to the 3,000 people that's in our watching us right now. We love you guys. Remember, we are the media, now so are you.
Yes. Thank you for everybody for coming. I'm still trying to work with this thing. It's actually annoying me. I'm about to have to give up on it and fix it
So drop a
afterwards.
comment real time, family, so we can read it real time about your thoughts of what's going on with this Maduro situation. For example, I'm in New York and I know that he's in Brooklyn right now. And yeah, so we'll see what happens. So all eyes are in New York. Whereas if you check your social media family, you can see all the wonderful people here in America that are celebrating that this guy is gone. I don't know about there in Venezuela. I can only speak to people here in the streets of New York. Shout out to certain people here who I won't name that's out there on the streets interviewing them right now in Espanol. But so far, some people don't like Trump's means, but they like the outcomes. Is that interesting?
Well,
Hmm.
this is a horrific event. Donald Trump just went into a sovereign nation and took over their natural resources. That's what happened.
Okay.
Full stop. Now, you were giving me reasons for an excuse for him to do that, something that happened 100 years ago. Why don't you try and make that make sense?
God damn it. Okay, you're making me work. Okay, I thought she was going to do all that today. All right,
No,
so
because it doesn't make sense to me. I can't make sense. I can't explain something to make it make sense if I don't comprehend it, and it's illogical to me. So I need somebody who's on the MAGA side of things to look and say, "Well, we see it this way," because to me, it's illogical.
okay. Now, Trump claims Venezuela owes oil. Why? All right, I'm typing this into the computer. Here we go, New York Times. Let me share my screen for all you beautiful people. Leo, let me share my screen, my friend.
Yes,
Just
sir.
press that button. Ha ha ha.
Forgot.
Let's
Sorry,
see.
because I'm
Okay,
still.
as everything's loading here, there's going to be a brief pause as I pull up in front of all you beautiful people.
Please do
Okay,
enlighten
now
me.
I'm gonna go back to the original search so everybody can see. All right. All right. Let's go to Forbes. Maybe Forbes is free for us, family. Let's see here because the algorithm actually caught up to Microsoft Bing. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Ah, all these ads. Okay. Last Tuesday evening, President Trump posted a striking message on Truth Social calling for a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. In his post, Trump cited asset theft, terrorism, and human trafficking, asserted that Venezuela should be treated as a foreign terrorist organization.
Okay, so that doesn't say anything about the 100 year ago thing that they was using before. So what you're telling me
Here we
is,
go. I utilize is here the second paragraph. Shortly
please.
after the post appeared, I began receiving messages asking what Trump was referring to. I believe I understand the context that is largely absent from the initial coverage. What follows is an attempt to explain what many are missing. In a nutshell, a corporate expropriation that involved my employer nearly 2 decades ago, handing through court now appears resurfacing as geopolitical flashpoint. So basically, Trump is talking about something else. All right, here we go. Why Trump is
Oh,
likely
Trump
referring
is
to
not talking
Chavez
directly. There's something else.
2007 oil seizures. Trump is likely referring to Chavez's 2007 oil seizures. Based on the word Trump's post, particularly Venezuela returning the United States all the oil land assets that previously stolen from us. This most plausibly refers to in 2000 is the 2007 exploitation of U.S. oil assets by Venezuela President Hugo Chavez. At the time, oil prices were rising and Chavez's government nationalized major oil projects operated by foreign companies, including ConocoPhillips, which was my employer at the time. The company had invested heavily in the country, and its stakes in three large ventures, blah, 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 were seized without compensation. For those of us working in the industry at the time, it was an event that reshaped how companies viewed business risk in Venezuela. So there you have it, my friend. Trump was referring to when Hugo Chavez was in power and he nationalized oil, thereby seizing it from foreign interests in power and ownership. That's what it was referred to, and that's the way I interpret that. And if you don't like it, drop a comment.
So let me ask a question.
Sure.
So they nationalized their oil. Why did they do that? What
Socialism,
com
communism.
who was taking the oil from their countries, and what treaties were there in place that these foreign entities were able to take oil from these countries in the first place?
Well, my loose interpretation of this is that basically these are business deals of companies that were actually doing deal with oil in Venezuela at the time. Socialist dictator Hugo Chavez nationalized the oil. Like in New York, they want to actually, Mamdani wants us, the government, to take over private property. That's another form of nationalizing it, saying the state owns it. And that's what happened. He took the oil fields and those properties away from these private foreign investors and owners. And that was it, according to that, what I just read to you. But then again, family, do your own research. So that's the problem with socialism and communism and potentially democratic socialism as well, when the government takes over the means of production. Hmm.
Well, going in and taking over all of their oil seems like maybe an illegal overkill.
You mean from Hugo Chavez? Seems so.
Hugo Chavez. No, I'm talking about the fact that right now
Right
the
now.
U.S. just invaded a sovereign country.
Well, you got to keep in mind that Joe Biden actually put a $25 million bounty on this guy for actually the election fraud that he took over the country and stuff like that. And then the bounty was up to $50 million. So technically speaking, President Trump actually may be owed $50 million for, capturing this guy per the bounty. Hmm.
Wow,
That's what
that is an interpretation of the
isn't
situation.
that interesting? Yes, because they were trolling saying that he said that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did say, you know what, I think I deserve that $50 million bounty. Trump,
Well, I mean, a guy who will pay himself out to Treasury randomly because he feels that he was slighted by
Loafer.
being investigated. I would be surprised if he didn't try and claim that 25 million.
The man's like, I gotta get reimbursed. You guys wasted my time trying to lock me up as I ran for president.
Oh, I see. So, in your opinion, the things that he's doing is legal.
Well, I don't know if it's legal. However,
Oh, I know it's not.
The Venezuelan people themselves who can't vote this guy out, they seem happy to me on social media, thanks to the independent media, not the mainstream media. Because now we are the media. So are you. And those people are not.
Well, one second. So let me get this right. Some of these things is insane to me. I'm listening. So this man just went to a foreign nation, said, "Yo, there's some election fraud. We're policing your country the same way we police ours illegally. We're going to take your oil and as MAGA, America First, as you say you are, you're supporting of this."
Actually, in a sense, yes, but this is an 80-20 situation. Like I said on previous episodes, I'm an 80 20 Trumpster right now. I agree with the president 80% of the time, 20% not so much. So in the 20% category, I don't like military usage in foreign interests and things of that nature. However, the military strike was so precise, like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer, like Iraq, that actually I commend the president for no life loss in this process of American soldiers. But yes, this is something that people have wanted, even the previous administration wanted, but would not do. So again, 80-20 here. It seems as though we haven't incurred any deaths. It was a well precise military conflict. The citizens of Venezuela here and there, because 80 million, I think 8 million left, according to what I read last time. So it looks like it's a win right now, and keeping foreign powers away from this oil, like China and others that were trying to get through this dictator. It seems like a win overall.
Okay, let's look at this a little deeper,
Shout out to the
shall we?
4K people that's watching us right now. We broke out glass ceiling. We're at 4K. Keep going, family. Keep sharing this content. But don't
Thank you
forget
for
to
the
comment.
support. Thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ramin. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. So let me get this right, because some things are a little bit illogical to me. So America First, MAGA, is supportive of this man going in and stealing the oil, even though we said from the very beginning the only reason he's there is for the oil. He went in and what did he do? He took out the president and took control of the oil and then made up an excuse. But if we knew ahead of time that the reason he was there was for the oil, why would you believe any excuse he made up if everybody knew that's why he was there in the first place?
Well, to answer the first part of your statement, America First people are not on board because you forgot your new friend, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's actually opposed to this and outline why. And she has a couple of America First supporters throughout that agree with her. The next thing is that, sure, the oil was obvious, but what actually ended up happening was the liberation. So the liberation of the Venezuelans, both foreign and domestic, they seem happy with this because you can't vote a dictator out. Isn't that interesting?
Right, Trump proved that his first term. But let me ask you a question. So who's in charge now?
Oh, I don't know. They have this one lady with the glasses, I think it is now. That
So
Trump.
Trump's right hand, Maduro's right hand is in charge. So nothing really changed except for the fact that Trump has control of the oil. Is that what happened?
Oh, I don't know. Again, you
But
gotta look at
okay. So
Secretary
let me
Marco
inform
Rubio.
you. That's what happened.
Oh, you're telling me, not asking me. Fine.
Well, I mean, I was asking if you knew. The
No,
only thing that changed there, they
from what I know, they were exploring who was going to be there, and the United States was going to, I guess, facilitate that per Marco Rubio situation. And Trump wasn't really feeling a homegirl that was supported by Israel, I think it was. That's what came out. But things are very in flux. This happened very fast. So things are very in flux. So
it happened very fast because a couple of weeks before that, or a week before that, week and a half before that, Donald Trump evaded the law that he had been forced to put in place to release the Epstein files, which would have exposed him as being whatever he is. And suddenly,
God, no.
we told you all of this was going to happen. We was like, no, he's going to
No.
try and use big things to distract people because he just broke another law. The felon committed another felony, and he's protecting himself from being seen to have committed the atrocities that he's committed, and he's got to do distraction stuff. And so now our peacetime president has attacked yet another country, and this time swiftly caused regime change and took over natural resources. This is colonialism at its worst. Do you disagree with that?
Well, again, this is happening so fast, and we have to see what happens. But once again, falling back on the Monroe Doctrine, per Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, the Western Hemisphere, the United States has to take a very big leadership role in. Unfortunately, military conflicts, we don't want to get into, but these are the ones that's close to home, meaning to our shores. Whereas though we got the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean barring us from China and the European problems over there, but this is right here in our hemisphere, and that's our priority to make sure we keep this under our kind of purview, like it or not.
So basically, America first to you means invading any country that does business with countries that the U.S., even though the U.S. does business with China and lots of it. As a matter of fact, we're China's biggest partners, but we ignore the fact that we're China's biggest trading partners and say, well, Venezuela's trading with them and go and invade them, and America first is okay with that.
No. Once again, this goes back to your point of the oil. Just like Senator Rubio said, we can't let these foreign powers evade and skip over certain rules and principles to get access to this oil in our hemisphere. Once
But they're
again,
our biggest trading partners. So why is it that
we
we can
don't want
trade
them
with
to
them, but
have an
other countries here
edge.
cannot?
Okay. Venezuela had an illegitimate leader, and the people have been suffering. Coincidentally, they have a large oil supply.
You know what's funny? Doesn't Trump say that we had an illegitimate leader up until he got in office? So do you
Vice
think that?
versa. They said the same thing when he first got elected.
So
Hillary
let's
Clinton,
hold up.
Russia,
So
Russia, Russia.
let's look at this. Let's because you keep pushing this illegitimate leader. And here's my next prediction. One I've already predicted, but so he likes to push like Putin does this illegitimate leader thing, right? So when this election comes and he's voted out, do you think it's a possibility he's going to say we have a rigged election and we have an illegitimate leader coming in and try to do something by force to stay in place, unlike what you said with January 6th, because that wasn't Trump claiming it was an illegitimate leader trying to use force to stay in place. But, so the same thing that you said he didn't do then, you're okaying now. Is that what's happening?
Well, this is America, and we have mechanisms in place. Venezuela is a foreign power. That's something separate. The answer is no. Trump is old, and per his constitution, he can't run again. So,
He said he is. Now you're saying no. I told you in February that he was never going to try and leave office. Now we're not even in February yet. It hasn't been a year, and he's proving me right as always. And the Trump defense is, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. But people are offering him $250,000 to do it. So somehow I don't think that we can take that seriously. Chrissy says he is at the bare minimum a PDF file protector. Absolutely. At minimum, he's protecting these guys. That's it. That's the minimum. It might be far worse. It's likely far worse. But at minimum, if nothing else, he's protecting them. But that's Trump being Trump. Protecting PDF filers, right? That's Trump being Trump. But this Venezuelan thing, if Donald Trump feels that there's somebody illegitimate in office, he feels he goes and takes him by force in another country. Do you think that he would not do the same here?
no, because
So he would. So
we
wait, because I got to understand this. This is wild that you're saying this. This is crazy. So you're saying he would protect the voting rights of people in a foreign country, but he would let the voting rights of the people in this country be taken away by having an illegitimate leader, dictator?
No, he wouldn't let that happen here.
Right,
It's
there
something
we go.
called
Boom.
election integrity. Like 2020, he believes was stolen, and unfortunately now so do I. So we're gonna make sure, and that's what we did last time, it's too big to rig.
So you just said that he would use military force to protect what he deems to be a legitimate election. That you would support that as a MAGA person.
To protect the election. For example, he wanted to have January 6th again, because you're going to fall back on it, the National Guard protect the election. But no, Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser said no, and they messed up. So there's something
Yes,
he's going to ask Congress.
nobody expected. You're right. You're right. They did not. Nobody expected an insurrection to occur, except for the person that caused the insurrection, maybe. And of course, when the insurrection was happening and was going to benefit then president for the first time 1.0 presidency, he did not send in the National Guard when it was necessary and required. He sat back and watched on the big screen eating a Happy Meal. Well, I don't know if he was eating a Happy Meal, but the rest is actually accurate. But I digress. Let us look at this from a different angle. We have a president that is going to do anything it takes to hold on to the presidency. His claims of election fraud have not been proven to the vast majority of American people. At first they believed it, but now they're looking and they're like, wait a minute, but you lie about every damn thing. You sit there telling me prices is coming down. I'm in the store, my dude. Like I'm looking at my shelf like, yo, this says $2 more. Prices are down. It's I'm looking at the price. I'm reading it. It's in your head. Prices are coming down. We're in the golden era. The prices are up, G. Yes, I just paid myself $250 million out of the treasury. That was your tax money. Because they was harassing me. But they arrested me falsely last week. Yes, but you're not Donald J. Trump. And so, when they do that to me, I could pay myself. I could give immunity to people that put money in my pocket. I can say, oh wow, Biden is pen is auto pen illegitimate. Illegitimate. We don't even know who Biden was. We don't know he couldn't have been. He was crazy. Oh, well, that wasn't really Biden. He was not even that stupid. He wouldn't have done that. Let's get rid of everything that auto pen had. Get rid of everything the auto pen had. And along with that, the EPA protections, the things that make our environment safe, make our air breathable, extend our lives, all of the protections that the EPA protections that Biden signed into law, and massive amounts of EPA protections, more than any president in history. Let's push all of them to a side because windmills are ugly. They kill birds. And what we really need to do is go back to oil because carcinogens aren't real. A carcinogen, something that causes cancer, that's fake news. We can use oil. Let's burn stuff. Ozone layer, schmozone layer. Climate change isn't fake news. Climate change. What do you mean it was 150 degrees when it's only supposed to be like 70? Fake news, but it's hot. Fake news, fake news, fake news. Let's burn oil. Matter of fact, let's go in this country and take oil, which is how we got here. Your response?
President Donald Trump, right now, in terms of popularity amongst the Latino voting base, has actually increased some, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but he's also exposing the hypocrisy of the blue team because they even wanted this guy going. Chuck Schumer himself, during Trump's first administration, wanted this guy going. Joe Biden put the $25 million bounty. Trump increased it to 50 million, but yes, this guy was bad news. He got done. He went out like hell, but the end result is in the best interest of the American people, the Venezuelans that escaped to this country, came in illegally, some of them, some not. That's asylum definition. and also our interest when it comes to this oil and Venezuela's strategic place in the whole scheme of things when it comes to global oil production. Thank you.
Well, it does appear that there does seem to be a split. Latino voters are split along ideological lines regarding U.S. military action in Venezuela, with the Venezuelan and Cuban diaspora often favoring intervention to dispose of the Maduro regime, while other Latino activists and left leaning governments in Latin America condemn it as a violation of international law. So, what that is saying is that we're actually both right. Some of the people that came from there actually are in favor of getting rid of the regimes. But then again, I think if you go to any country, let's take the United States, for instance. You know, the president who's friends with another dictator, Vladimir Putin. I'm sorry, I meant Bibi. I'm sorry, whatever, it doesn't matter. Presidents, the dictators, these group of people, whatever you want to call them, all have people that would be happy if they were gone. Let's not even use the dictator we have now. I mean, the president you have now. Let's go back a presidency. Let's look back at our previous president. If Biden was taken out the way that Maduro was, a lot of Americans like yourself would have been happy. So just because you have people that are happy doesn't mean that everybody's happy. Can we agree on that?
Agreed.
So so people's opinions, because they're so split, it's very difficult to draw a conclusion from, because these are not facts, these are opinions. It's how people feel. And opinions change, feelings change. You can't gauge facts based on feelings. So let's look at the facts. What's the facts is what's written on paper. What's written on paper are laws. Let's look at the laws. These actions are in violation of international laws. This makes the actions taken in Venezuela a international criminal act.
Drag the United States into the criminal court. Let somebody put in the motion to the United Nations. Let these international mechanisms do their job. This is why some people like me are crazy enough to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the United Nations needs to get its own army. Maybe the United Nations needs to get out of New York because maybe that's a conflict of interest. So you see how that works, Leo?
Well, actually, the way it's working is Trump has also been threatening other countries. And the members of the United Nations are indeed forming together and building their militaries up to go to war with us as we speak. From Canada to EU to UK to Denmark, which is part of the EU. They're building their armies. Mexico's sent thousands of troops to their northern border, which is the border of the US. We are being surrounded. International China just had people in Venezuela a couple of hours before the US invaded. So we don't have friends anywhere. So you wanted to be isolationist. Not only is the United States becoming isolationist, but we're actually building enemies across the world and right at two of our borders. I don't think that that's great policy.
Well, I just saw something on my social media that Trump actually did something historic. He's actually capturing these dictators alive. Gaddafi clipped, Saddam Hussein, they got him out. But what about Osama bin Laden clipped? You see what I'm saying? And how long did it take us to get Saddam Hussein? A long time. But this was like no bloodshed. That's why it's very impressive military operations, Leo. Aren't you, as a former naval man, happy that the Navy was really good at its job with those Marines? How do you feel about that, Leo? Wouldn't you be happy with your Purple Heart?
So I understand the basics of the war a little bit more than a simplistic view like the one you just gave to our
Then let us
audience.
have it.
We did not have to go all the way across to another continent on the other side of the earth, sending troops in when everybody around was fighting like we did here. That's what we had to do to get Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. You had to go into a stronghold where everybody didn't want you there. In Venezuela, your entire navy's right here. You're right in the American Straits here. Like you gotta like you're in the Caribbean, like you're here. So gathering your forces together and sending everybody in against Venezuela, who's first of all not armed like the Middle East is. No one really is. And their nearest help being China on the other side of the planet, and everybody else being afraid to intervene. Yeah, you just walked in; it was a cakewalk. No crap, because you attacked a weak, defenseless country. Big applause, bravo.
I don't know if it's weak and defenseless. I
In
mean,
comparison to the Middle East, you can't. That you might not know, but I'll inform you. They are.
so Venezuela doesn't have any kind of military to counter ours.
To counter the United States, no, definitely not. Obviously not.
Let me
What kind of
see.
question is
Listen,
that? You
I
just
question
watched
that
the
they are a
operation.
dictator. Okay, let's see.
You just watched the military operation. This has been a buildup going on for months. So they knew it was coming. So if they had something, they'd have used it. The fact that the US is able to walk in after picking at this country for months and they couldn't defend themselves should be in and of itself, beyond a reasonable doubt, proof that they could not defend themselves against the US. Because if they could, then the US would not have been able to just get away with bombing innocent fishermen for months now. Obviously, they didn't have a defense. Yes, it was an easy operation because they couldn't defend themselves. Bravo. You went and picked on them. You're the big kid in the park and you're picking on the little kids in the playground. Wonderful. So proud to be American right now. But I digress. Sorry you made me explain how pathetic this military operation was. Even Keith Hegseth was able to pull it off. That dude can't even. He was probably tweeting about it on Signal, like simultaneously. Like I would not be surprised to be on his Facebook and see the war plans that were about to occur in Venezuela. We're talking about Keith Hegseth was in charge. With that moron in charge, it's very obvious that there was very little resistance because he could not pull it off.
Well, the hex said actually is the one that actually oversaw the operation
That's
and
what I
the
just
Secretary of
said. The
War.
fact that he
So he
pulled it
did
off
great.
is That's what I said. The fact that he pulled it off means there was very little resistance because even he was able to do it. That means I probably could have put you in charge and you would have been able to do it. When you have a better trained troop, when you have more intelligence, when you have a bigger military, when you have more advanced technology, and you combine these aspects, then yeah, maybe it's a cakewalk. But I'm just using facts and stuff. You know, who cares about facts? Oh, everybody outside of MAGA. So, speaking of Epstein files, last week I didn't even release the video. The video's coming out. You know they found a million more Epstein files. You know they had 700,000 files, and then they went to the Southern District of New York, where Epstein was tried in 2000 and I believe seven, and they found a million more files.
That
You
means there
recall
could be
this?
more files out there, my friend. This Epstein stuff is bigger than Trump. However, Trump's involvement and inclusion, I don't think it's that big at all. But yes, go ahead.
Well, he's in 70% of the files that we've seen so far. So
Doing what
when
exactly? That's wrong.
I'm sorry.
What did he do that was so wrong in these files?
um Being left alone with a 15-year-old being trafficked while they were being trafficked in the place they were being trafficked in, for starters. For starters.
Even Abby Phillip, this lady is hard to watch as a black man. Even she had to admit that yes, Donald Trump, once discovering what this guy was doing, poaching girls from Mar-a-Lago and Florida, those other places, kicked him out and distanced himself, and they were at odds. After all this time, Abby Phillips had to publicly admit that much. So if that's true, after everybody's been saying all this stuff about Trump and Epstein, what else could be true that actually makes sense of him not being involved with anything?
Well, I don't care who said what. The communications did not end. As a matter of fact, they were very friendly. They was hanging out together at parties. Epstein was still going to Mar-a-Lago, even though he was never a member. So Epstein was always at Mar-a-Lago and not a member. So he might have been kicked out. What does kicked out mean exactly? From what I understand, he was not allowed. What really happened was he stopped sending his workers to Epstein, but Epstein still came to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, wait, that's breaking news that came out today. You might not be aware of it. Well, that's what happened. No, he did not kick Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. That is false. He actually stopped his workers from going to Epstein, but Epstein was still always at Mar-a-Lago. And not only was he there, he was also there with Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump was still flying on his planes multiple times. Trump still went to Epstein Island. What else? What else? What else? Oh, and breaking news this weekend, 5 million. So they had 700,000 files. They found 1 million files when they went to the place where he was tried. And now 5.2 million more files were discovered. So since the Epstein thing was signed into law, the Epstein Transparency Act, and they were supposed to release all the files, 6.2 million files have been filed. Now, they couldn't get them to release 700,000 files, even though Trump paid back in, I think it was March, April, 1,000 FBI agents overtime all weekend long to go and redact his name from the files because he has nothing to hide. Those are the 700,000 files that they were releasing that his name still came out in, blunder after blunder. Now 5.2 million more files were found. Do you think that he's hiding something? Do you think that he just stumbled on, they're just going through drawers? Oh, shoot, yo, look, we got 5 million files.
I'm of the belief this has nothing to do or help the victims. The next thing is who other names were in those files besides Trump? And how could we get three of them, maybe five of them, other names besides Trump that were peppered throughout these Epstein files? Where
There's
are those
actually
names?
there's actually 15 of them that was reported, but the Trump Department of Justice is redacting their names. That is the
Hmm.
problem.
Well, what are the victims saying?
The victim is saying unredacted names. What are you talking about?
What
That's
names did
if
they? What
he
names did they
unredacted the
say?
names, this would have been over. We wouldn't have known about the 5 million files because we wouldn't still be talking about it if we released the names with the victims with the perpetrators' names unredacted. The fact that the names were still redacted is why we're still on the subject, and the person responsible for that is Trump. That's why Trump is in the spotlight. He's protecting perps. Do you get it now? Do you understand? Is that easier to digest?
Well, again, as
What
an
is going on here?
80-20 Trumpster, this is a 20% part where it's a lot of question marks for me. But one thing I do know for certain, this whole Epstein investigation is not about any victims at all. It's all about how to take down Trump. So it's a double-edged sword for me. Trump trying to prevent certain information from coming out, and on the other hand, the Democrats trying to use it as a tool to take him down, which is failing miserably. So
I don't think so. Actually, I think his popularity wouldn't be the toilet now if he just released the daggone files. And the fact you think it's not about the victims, okay. You know what? Let's go your route with it. Let's suppose it's not about the victims, right? Let's suppose that's the case. Then why doesn't your side, why doesn't Trump do what's good for the victims and release the names? And why don't they bring these victims peace? Instead of pointing the fingers and saying we're lying about it being about the victims, why don't y'all do something to protect those victims or to help these victims find closure? Why is it we got to be lying? Why aren't you doing something about it? Why is your people protecting the people that accosted these women? Why we got to be liars, but y'all are protecting them? It sounds like
Congress
it sounds like
voted to open
gaslighting.
the files.
MAGA's gaslighting the public, but the public sees through it.
The public sees to it that it's not about the victims. So
They don't, even if it's not about the victims. Right now, it's about the fact that Donald Trump is protecting PD files. That's what it's about right now to most of America. I happen to be for the victims, but those who are not are angry that Donald Trump is protecting PD files. Like, there's no more disgusting behavior than that. Now, is there? I lay down I lay down. Find me something more disgusting than that. Go for it. Floor is yours.
Well, right now in this country, we have in Minnesota billions of dollars in fraud. And what is the Democrats doing about that? And the mainstream media.
So
So
that's
that's
more
what I should
disgusting.
do.
That's more disgusting than thousands of PD files. That's your answer? Is that it?
Well, that's in other
Dun,
news.
dun, dun,
So,
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. That's it? That's all you got?
right now, yes.
There's nothing worse. There's nothing more disgusting. Trump is doing the most disgusting thing that you can think of. But I digress. So, Doge cut 10% of the federal government, right? No, no, he cut 30% of the American government. And he hired a lot of them back, like 25% of them back.
Right.
But while he made those cuts, spending went up by like 10%. So year over year, the Doge cuts led to a more expensive government. Gee, did we predict that here on the think tank? Yes. Yes, we did.
Well,
Yes,
that's
we did.
because they didn't let Elon do his job, and Elon left before completing. But those still happen anyway. And unfortunately, as an 80-20 Trumpster, MAGA, I have to inform everybody these people that are fired, furloughed, and let go are voters. And by extension, have other voters attached to them. And this is why there were some losses last year and maybe some future losses this year in the midterms. So that's the drawback of this whole Doge program.
Yes, the only thing more disgusting than protecting a PD file is being one. Yes, Chrissy, thank you. You found something more disgusting. Great job. That was the answer I was looking for, but I wasn't going to get that from MAGA. This convo really shows how foreign policy and accountability are connected. Amelia, Emil. Thank you. That's a fact. That's why we had these conversations. People forgot about how long Venezuela's crisis has been building up. Well, I don't think he was here at the earlier in the episode, but Dion was explaining that to everybody. That was what he was saying. Like this has been going on for a while. He said that Biden had a $25 million hit on him. Yeah, like Dion explained all of that.
Thank you. More people call us. 41, 41, 4,100 people are watching, I believe. So our numbers are increasing. Keep sharing this content, family, making your own comments in the comments. So
Yes, thank you for coming. We appreciate having you. So, what do you think about the pastor that got arrested on Christmas by ICE? The
that
pastor
wasn't
arrested on Christmas Eve.
that was the major news to me.
Nah, you wouldn't care about that. You're just Christian, right?
Well, what about all the people and pastors and beyond that were assaulted by these migrants and all the crime they ensues? What about those victims, huh? How many
So
funerals
you're
did the
so
pastor have to
so
go?
so you're okay for them just arresting pastors, shooting priests with pepper balls.
No. Like again, these are going to be a lot of mistakes and people fall into the cracks. Unfortunately, this migrant operation is a blunt object, and sometimes, like I said, people fall through the cracks. And then again, sometimes pastors put themselves in harm's way with the idea in mind. It could actually help save lives. So that kind of obstruction, things like this happen.
Well, right before the strike on Venezuela, Trump meets with Zelensky and says he's this close to striking a deal to stop a war. Now, I will say this to Trump. He made sure not to make Putin's mistake. If he was going to go and invade a country, he didn't let that shit last 4 years. He said, I'm going to go invade and I'm going to show how Russia should have done Ukraine. Do you think he
Got
told Ukraine?
Zelensky and disappeared? Yes.
Do you think that Trump tried to tell Zelensky to give up again?
I hope so. But I think this power is beyond Trump right now involved with this Ukraine stuff. That Trump has to go with the flow and make the best of it. That's the way it seems to me.
Powers beyond Trump. What does that mean exactly?
Well, there's something that people feel as though it's the shadow government in which there's so much outside interest and force that beyond the president of the United States can actually have control over. Some argue that Israel is one of these cases where it's an entity that's so powerful that the United States government, even the will of the people, can't really control or influence, but influences our government inside out. Make sense?
Well, actually, speaking of influence, Elon Musk revealed that on Twitter, what was really happening was there were bots from Africa coming up with all sorts of wild conspiracy theories and releasing it into the MAGA mind frame through a group called the QAnon, stuff like shadow governments and all that. We don't know if they exist, but maybe they do. But however, these are these concepts that are being spewed to explain things away are coming from African bot farms. Anyway, more direct to your point, the real threat to America there is Europe, UK. Were hoping that the US would help do things to stop Russia, while Trump is obviously not going to do that. However, with Venezuela, Russia was behind Venezuela, as was China, and the US attacked anyway. The question now becomes, did the US really attack with Russia telling them not to? Or is it the same game that Trump is playing with Zelensky, which seems far the more likely? I think that Russia knew what was going to happen because if you think about it logically, Russia and Venezuela, both of their main exports is guess what? Oil. That makes Venezuela a chief competitor to Russia. Russia is a next door neighbor to China. Do you think that Russia wanted China going to Venezuela for oil when they can get it from Russia? It seems to
Um,
me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Are you going to answer the question for me as always? Okay. So yes, I think that was a problem, especially now that they're at a time of war and they need the economy to be better. That does make sense. But again, Russia and China dealing with Venezuela for oil from a communist dictator, I believe Maduro was, that's not ideal in the best American interest in their backyard, like when Cuba was dealing with Russia back under JFK.
Yeah, sanctions versus humanitarian impact is the real question. I agree. Sanctions would have worked on Russia. That would have stopped all of this if the president had done the right thing versus become the monster that we all knew him to be. But we know that right now the United States is talking about going to war with Greenland. He says we need Greenland. That is the most problematic thing in US history. Going after Greenland, another sovereign nation, the third one in a month that would be, because he also attacked Nigeria, another oil rich country, the most oil rich country in all of Africa. He also attacked there. I'm trying to save the Christians, while his ice age is a pepper ball and pastors here in the United States and arresting pastors on Christmas Eve. But he's going across on the other side of the globe to bomb a country because there's terrorists there. Like what? Like I got a headache thinking about the stupidity coming out of this guy's mouth. But wow, even with all of that going on, Donald Trump seems to feel that we need Greenland. If the United States attacks Greenland, Canada said that they're going to back them up. They're building up their army through something called conscription. In the United States, we call it the draft. The UK is saying that they're going to back Denmark. The EU is saying they're going to back Denmark. They're also saying that they're going to back Ukraine, while Russia's saying, if you back Ukraine, I think we can take you. which is something that we also predicted here on the think tank, that Putin was going to start talking about World War III, which he has, and that's dangerous. Russia has more nuclear weapons than any other country in the world. That occurred during the 80s, during the Cold War, which was a nuclear arms race. And now, if the United States attacks Greenland, we have to worry about Canada, which is our northern neighbor, which is going to be worse than the Civil War, backed by UK, which is what, France, England, Scotland, like what? Like, yo, like the UK. The UK, the United States is about to attack a country and have beef, I'm sorry, with the EU, the UK and the EU. Like we're talking about World War III. Dion, what do you have to say about that? What's your peacetime president?
Well, again, 80-20, President Trump, not good, not a good look. But, so far, our American interests in this hemisphere are being met. I That's how I feel about that. Now, if we can have less war, but I believe, like a lot of other people in the MAGA movement, believe our president is kind of compromised this area's war. And like I said previously, he's not a president that's has experience understanding the complexities of war and these kind of military engagements. So obviously, the people that he has in that realm, like XF, they're doing what they got to do. Marco Rubio's doing the best he can, and that's about it. But this part right here wasn't in the notes. So
What wasn't in the notes?
you were talking about the conflict with Europe and some other stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, he attacked Venezuela and he's talking about attacking Greenland.
Yeah, Greenland's not there.
Greenland wasn't in the notes. I apologize, but this ongoing, he's attacking sovereign nations. Venezuela is the third one. He attacked Iran. 7 different strikes, according to Fox News. I only knew about 2 others. Fox News reported 7 different strikes. And now the EU and UK and Canada is talking about you step foot in Greenland and attack Denmark territory, we going all in on the US. This man is about to drag us into a world war. Is there anything more serious going on than that?
Well, we have the enemy from within, like I alluded to earlier, with the Somalians in Minnesota and all the other migrants that are in this country. So that is the concern and how they're using our system against itself and to empower their nations abroad. So that is
Oh, so you
important.
think that every other nation isn't doing the same thing? You think everybody's not doing the same thing? I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're Jewish. You don't think everybody's trying to get theirs? You're in the
Well,
politics.
remember, the
Stop.
problem is we let in these people unvetted, unvaccinated, and all those wonderful things, and we're trying to get rid of them. But this whole Somalia fraud thing with Tim Walz, this is bad. And the man probably has to resign. But he's not, because those Democrats just blame white supremacy and Donald Trump and Republicans for all their life's problems.
Oh no, that. See, I don't know what the Democrats are doing. I happen to agree that situation is very serious. But I just asked if it was as serious as World War III. I don't think they're on the same level. But if all you could do is deflect to something else that happened, even if it's not even nowhere near the same level, if that's all you got, that's all you got. It's very difficult to come up with something as bad as the stuff that Trump is doing. So I don't blame you. Trump makes it very difficult to defend, even as he pushes for regulations for AI, even though Grok is generating sexual images of young girls.
Oh no,
He's
I don't know about that. Yikes.
Yeah, but well, Trump Organization, PD files, no surprise. It's what they do, right? But they don't need regulations. Let them. It's just young girls. It's Trump. What are they? 14, 15?
Oh God. Yikes.
That's Trump. While we're fighting for regulations, Trump is like, you know, oh, he defends the guys that are doing it. He defends these people. Redact their names. Might be one of them. Probably was like, yo, Elon, yo, can you make AI do this? I thought most of the people who were here illegally were people who overstayed their visas, therefore they're making them vetted.
Wrong.
Ooh, no,
Wrong,
actually, that's
wrong, wrong,
accurate. That
wrong.
is actually
Wrong,
accurate.
wrong, wrong, wrong. All the people that crossed the border didn't do any of this process. Even the people
How did they cross
on
the border?
visa,
How did these people cross the border?
they just came through the United
So
States.
you're saying, hold on, wait, because what you're saying is silly. But let's talk about it. So you're saying they just walked in and there was no like it was just like an
There's
open
no
door,
written
nobody was
message.
there, and they walked in. That's not what happened, Dion.
They would tell us what happened. Why we had an open border. That's a fact.
An open, what does an open border mean to you? Oh,
No,
I
because
see.
now
MAGA
everybody's
doesn't
so
understand.
forgetful. Oh my
No, so
God.
MAGA doesn't understand what an open border policy means.
What does
An
it
open
mean?
border doesn't mean people just can come in without being vetted. That is not true. That's stupid. Like that doesn't make any sense. Okay, hold up. Oh boy. Wow. Thank you, Crizzy. I appreciate the fact that there are people in the chat thinking. Okay. So let's see what an open border is, shall we? An open border isn't a single process, but a spectrum generally mean minimal restrictions, but in practice, modern policies involve conditional entry, like using apps to schedule appointments. So there's appointments, expanding visa programs, processing asylum claims, processing claims, often with new restrictions, and streamlining entry for trusted travelers, aiming for orderly movement while managing security and humanitarian concerns through varying degrees of enforcement and legal pathways. So what that says in English, Dion, is no, people didn't just walk in; they were vetted. Crizzy was correct.
Always try to rewrite history real
I'm not
time.
trying to rewrite history. I just read
Unfortunately,
it to
that
you.
internet's a forget a friend. Keep going.
I just read it to you. I didn't. I didn't. I mean, I would think this is common sense, but I wouldn't expect the common sense party to utilize it because they only use the common sense is only what Trump tells them common sense is. But anybody who uses their own brain knows that if you came here through the borders, unless everybody, millions of people didn't sneak in boats, they made a pathway for them to get in. They're complaining about people with visas. That's the way. That's the reason they're able to locate them because they came here with visas. Trump is reversing visas. He's not going after people that never had an inch pathway in. That's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't be able to find them. It's not true.
Wow.
Okay. So how do you think Biden allowed people in? What do you think the process was?
People stormed the border, made it through, and just kept running. That's
All
what
right, boom. If that's what you
because
think,
I
that
met
is that is
migrants and they told their
ridiculous.
story as such.
That is utterly ridiculous. Why don't you show me one picture? I just showed you evidence of what the process is for open borders. I just showed you evidence of that process. Why don't you show me pictures or anything outside of the blubber that Trump spews contradicting that? One thing outside of the blubber that Trump saying it doesn't make it so. Trump saying it probably makes it less likely. Show me evidence like I
Here
just
we
did.
go, my friend. Now, remember, I said at the time the only people under the Biden administration that were deported were the Haitians. So, do you remember these images of Haitians just running across the border? And you had all these so called cowboys coming up to them and trying to deport them? That was under Joe Biden. Hopefully, this imagery strikes somebody and jogs their recollection of how it all went down. Out of all people crossing those rivers, LDL, the RO, and all that kind of stuff. The Haitians were the only ones to get deported. Look at this in Texas at the border. Thank you. Well, that's enough show and tell for one night, family.
Okay, but the Haitians are not who they were going after. They were supposed to be going after the worst of the worst.
Here we
How
go.
did you know? How did they know that the people that are here committed murder more than one time if they weren't vetted in some form so that you knew who was here? How do you know they were here if they just walked in, they ran across the border? How do you know who's here then? How you gonna tell me they're the worst of the
That's
worst
the
and
question
people?
that we have on MAGA. That's why what happened in the previous administration was a tragedy.
How does Trump know that the people that are here are released from prisons and insane asylums? How does he know who they are if they did not come in and get vetted? How does he know who's here? How does he have the names of the people here?
How does Trump have to
They
name
just
the people
ran
that are
across the
here?
border.
Well, remember, he's going by a few matrices. Tom Holman, borders are. They're going off criminal records of migrants that have broken the law. They're also invading hotspots where migrants congregate.
But he was
And
saying this before any of that happened. So how did he have that information prior to that?
what prior information? Well, he's going through all the criminal justice records.
But he was saying this before he got in office. He didn't have access to those records. So you're saying he was just making stuff up?
No, he has people that work in the government that would
Oh, so
inform
they
him.
were snooping and giving him this information while he was running for
No,
office?
no, this is the MAGA realm that we have, the MAGA network we have of people that are elected officials that are on the right side, and also people like, let's say, Alex Jones or Laura Loomer, and these kind of investigators that provide Trump information.
So he was getting it from white wing conspiracy nutcases. Got it. But what? If, so,
They're
but so
always,
his,
but it looks like they were right the whole time.
no, it looks like that's the evidence that Trump wants to present. Because you said that there was a few Haitians that snuck across the border. Why is he rounding up Latinos then? Did they all run across the border too? Millions of people ran across the border. Like,
Yes,
yo, just think
how
about how
quickly
stupid
we
that
forget.
sounds.
How quickly we forget.
How
Still
quickly
4K
there was no
strong.
millions of people didn't run across the open borders, bro. That's come on.
Over
Like,
4 years total, yes, while it was open.
so does that mean? Are you saying that the border patrol stood by and stood down and just watched as they came eating bubble gum?
Pretty much.
So then why did you show me pictures of them being rounded up instead of pictures of them coming across? Which
That's
one is
the
it?
question
I
I
asked
had
for
at the
evidence.
time.
I
That's the
requested
question I had at
evidence.
the time.
I requested evidence of people running across the border. What you showed me was people coming being stopped from crossing the border. Why don't you show me evidence of people running across the border, not people being stopped from running across the border?
I don't
You
have
can't
time
because
to
it didn't
gather that
happen.
information right now because good old internet being compromised by the blue team and their boss, we're not going to find that information there. And if I do find information, it'll probably from those right-wing conspiracy theories on their Substack or Rumbles or alternative forms of media because people don't believe in the legacy media anymore.
The debate really shows how complex global power has become. That's true. Venezuela, the Epstein case, and U.S. influence all raising big questions about accountability and transparency. Ooh, somebody just said the issues hit the fan. Thank you, Mason. Good to see you back, bro. Um, Dion Sambo, Basic Coding 101. I don't know who Dion Sambo is. That's your people's?
No, it's not. It's probably a hater of my work.
Well,
Not
Chrissy
Uncle
said you
Tom, but
also.
Sambo, so people are getting it right. The evil black man.
Oh, is that what it is? I
Yeah,
didn't know that. Well, Chrissy said you also have a fan. So there you go. Anyway, see that? See that? See that? You're getting some love in there, man. Getting some love. I appreciate you, Blake. Appreciate you, bro. And I don't know these people. I don't know who Blake is. I'm just like they. I appreciate. I love the support. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Um,
4100 watching strong. So
as we dial it down because we're about done for the day. This was an amazing. This was an amazing episode. I a terrifying thing going on. We will keep you updated. We drop episodes every day. We are here every Sunday, 9 p.m. Thank you all for those of y'all who came who know to come. If y'all are enjoying the show, if the show was good, please subscribe. We're always like this. The debates they're heated, but Dion's my man. That's why we can go back and forth like that, but we chill afterwards. That's my dog.
that's
So
right. And remember, we are the media, and now so are you. And pretty soon, no longer are they. So make sure you share this topic and put stuff in the comments and actually maybe use our footage to make your own analysis of the same situation.
That would be pretty dope. That would be pretty dope. I'd love to see people giving an analysis of our analysis. That would be fire. And that's it. Down in the description box, you're gonna see that I've got my own little Kickstarter going. I'm trying to do my first feature film. See all the stuff behind me. I used to do television commercials. Now I'm working on a feature. So y'all can check it down in the description box. I want to thank everybody for coming and have a good night.